As we transition into the time of year when all the spooks, specters, and ghosts come out to play, it's important that we embrace the scary side of things and play a game that will chill us to the bone. However, since I'm not a fan of having my butt cheeks clenched at diamond-producing levels for hours at a time, I'm gonna head back into the PG-rated goodness of a franchise I enjoyed even as a tiny little baby person. It's time for Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed. From the developers that brought you that heavily licensed game that Dead by Daylight completely overshadowed and the version of Star Marine that was completely scrapped in Star Citizen comes a brand new heavily licensed asymmetrical adventure. Dive into the role of a fresh-off-the-streets Ghostbuster recruit much in the same way you did for Ghostbusters the video game, except this time, instead of a single-player adventure set 30 years ago, you're a modern-day dingus with a customizable character. However, only half of the original quartet will make a return in everyone's favorite form of weird caricatures to provide a delicious bite-sized Twinkie of story between your adventures and busting ghosts. After your orientation with the first-person proton pack pleasantries, you can check out the phone and convince it to ring just in time to answer the call and head into the field to violently rip the souls of the dead from the mortal plane and push them into a purgatorial prison. You'll start out bursting through the doors to admire everyone's unique take on their physical forms and preparing yourself for the otherworldly onslaught. Now you can whip out your PKE meter and start wandering the rooms and halls to track down that ghost and bust all over it. When you do spot it, you can unleash the fury of your wiggly antenna device to temporarily stun the beast. Then you can toss out the iconic ghost trap and whip some metaphysical ass with your proton pack to wrangle it into its sucking maw. But you'll soon learn that that didn't do shit as the ghost instantly respawns from one of the 3 rifts hidden on the map and continues terrorizing these random idiots roaming the building that you're ripping apart with an unlicensed nuclear accelerator. These rifts are hidden in the incredibly secretive locations of creepy dolls, statues, or books sitting randomly out in the open that you can track with your meter. Once found, you can zap them with your lightning stick to reveal a portal to the spirit world that you can continue zapping for maximum destructive effect. Only after all 3 of these have been completely obliterated can you finally re-dead that undead intruder and walk out triumphant. But as a Ghostbuster, you're not just a Ghostbuster. For some reason, you can also become a ghost and take on those Ghostbusters like any good Ghostbuster would. In this ethereal form, your main task is to fly around and be as annoying as possible for as long as you can without getting your ghost ass busted. As you swoop from room to room, you steadily fill a haunting meter just by existing, and once it hits 100%, the map is fully spooked and everyone flees in terror. You can enhance the scarification of these areas by tossing some haunt power into random objects, making them float around menacingly. You can also slime up and generally assault civilians, and after you thoroughly scare the shit completely out of their existence, they'll run off, adding another 5% to the fearometer. But those pesky Ghostbusters that you were just moments ago can counter your efforts by consoling civilians, destroying your rifts, and sending you to ghost jail. You'll have to outmaneuver them and work to sabotage their proton packs and encase their bodies in so much slime they'll get stuck to the ground, or just run away as far and as fast as your ectoplasmic propulsion can take you and hide in some random garbage. But they'll most likely find you and send you into a dizzying gauntlet of stuns, snares, flashing lights, and button-mashing QuickTime events that you will almost always fail miserably in this uniquely fascinating asymmetric shit show. Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed, mining your nostalgia and smelting it into a raw ingot of competitive disappointment. My first few hours with this game were filled with the warm feelings of exploring a detailed version of one of my favorite childhood franchises. It was like an artillery barrage of Easter eggs, recreations of classic settings, and carefully engineered nostalgia bait. But it didn't take long before the issues started showing up. At first, everyone's general lack of familiarity made the competitive aspect fun, but I soon realized with the 4-to-1 Ghostbusters ratio, I played a ghost maybe a few times in my first 30 or 40 matches. More recently, I've had far more chances to play the ghost, but I found the experience disappointing with the fully upgraded Ghostbusters tearing me apart. The fact that you can't even see where your own rifts are at the start or have the opportunity to hide them from the ridiculously obvious starting positions makes it even more difficult to succeed. The game doesn't have a stats page, but the vast majority of the time in my matches on either side, the Ghostbusters would easily win the rounds. In the ghost matches I did eventually play, not counting the ones with 1 or more terrible AI bots, I had maybe 2 or 3 wins, and those felt more like victories of cheesy tactics rather than me doing what the game suggests. The fun that is in the game would definitely be enhanced if the Ghostbusters had more interactivity and reliance on their gear, and the ghosts could do more haunting and less button mashing. And they could also add some quality of life stuff like any control customization at all or making the upgrade and mission system less messy. But because of the mediocre execution of what is a really fun concept and a wonderfully realized depiction of one of my favorite universes, I'm giving Ghostbusters Spirits Unleashed the abbreviated score of okay. If you'd like to see more hot takes, warm satire, and tepid commentary about video games, make sure to subscribe and check out my other abbreviated reviews.